Hi, I am going to show you how to visualize movie data with Apache Zeppelin. Data visualization is a really key aspect of the data science process, especially in the exploration and the communication phase. During the exploration phase, sometimes it can be difficult to quickly visualize and explore really large sets of data. It takes time and a lot of coding, and sometimes you don't have all of the time available to write an entire Python script or to manage to download the library that you need. So to answer this problem, Apache Zeppelin will be used along with Spark to create interactive visualizations. And I am going to explore the Movie Lens dataset of 45,000 movies in order to show how the movie landscape has maybe changed throughout time. Zeppelin is a multi-purpose notebook, so it's composed of a bunch of different segments of code called paragraphs that are individually run. Each paragraph can have its own interpreter assigned to it. For example, one paragraph can have Spark, where the other paragraph can have SQL, and they can all be compiled in the same notebook. Zeppelin has a bunch of visualization features. The first one is a built-in visualization feature in which right in the front end of Zeppelin you can make a bar chart, a pie chart, area chart, line chart, or scatter plot. The other visualization features are you can write JavaScript or HTML right in your paragraph. You can also import libraries such as matplotlib and plotly, as well as you can use packaged visualization from Helium, which allows you to load pluggable visualizations from a vast library. The data that I used was from Movie Lens. It's a really large data set of about 224 megabytes of data, and it's composed of 4 CSV files. The files that I used were the movie CSV, rating CSV, and tags CSV file, and I'll get more into those later. To install Zeppelin, you need to install a bunch of prerequisites and requirements on your machine. I used Ubuntu 14.04, and it seems to be really compatible with Zeppelin. Before I even started with any of the requirements, I installed Anaconda, JavaScript, Scala, SVT, and Spark. And then you need to install Git, npm, libfontconfig. Maven is very important. You can't install Zeppelin without having the right configuration of Maven. Open SSH server, open JDK, and then finally you can install the Zeppelin notebook by cloning the Git and then using Maven package to run the series of installations. This is going to take at least 45 minutes, so make sure you have some time. It took me a couple days to configure Zeppelin correctly. Once you install everything correctly, you can pass through the command Zeppelin start and then navigate to your local host in order to begin running the Zeppelin notebook. So before I go into the demonstration, I'm just going to go through each of the codes in the back end real quick. So for a formatting code, you pass through this interpreter MB, and you can use a series of predefined comments in order to format your text and make titles, links. You can change the formatting of file text and bold text, as you can see in this snapshot above. So there's a vast library of for this specific interpreter that were really useful. So I use Spark to clean all of my data and to put it into a data frame. Here is the movies and genres table code. At the top there is the text file. It is composed of 3 different categories. The title category is actually also inclusive of the year. So part of my cleaning process was actually extracting the year from that row and creating a new column, as well as extracting all of the genres and creating a new table from that. So here's the Spark code that I used to do all of those things and clean the data. I took out rows that didn't include year and that sort of thing. I did a similar cleaning for ratings, although it was a lot more clean. The thing about ratings is I actually aggregated the average rating and the total ratings from the data because it was composed of 20 million rows, and I wanted to make sure that it just wasn't super slow when I was doing my queries. The tags table was pretty easy. I just was interested in MID and the tag that was associated. So the MID is the movie ID, just along with the tag. And tags are defined here as a user inputted tag from the website. So they can be anything from narrated to DreamWorks to England, whatever the user thinks is an attribute of that movie. So here are two of my visualizations. And I'm actually going to go into Zeppelin to show you these. So to start Zeppelin, as I said, you just cd right into the Zeppelin folder. And then you run this command here. So Zeppelin's actually already running, so I don't need to start it, thankfully. So when you log into your local host 8080, this is the home page, and here are all your notebooks here. So I'm just going to click on my final project notebook. Okay, great. So here were some of the codes that I showed you earlier. And here's the Spark code. So you can actually hide the code by just clicking on this upper right hand arrow icon. And here are all the data frames that I'm using in my queries. So title, year, genre, average rating, total ratings, and tag. So in order to create visualizations in Zeppelin, what I did was I actually made put all of my data frames into a temporary table. And this is a highly optimized Hive temporary table that uses your cache memory, so it is really fast. And then once you register those temporary tables, you can just run SQL queries with them in order to get your data. So that is what I did for all of the built-in data visualizations. I just wrote the SQL query, and it comes up with this table here. And then you can just click on any of these 5 built-in options. And voila, there's your visualization. And if you want to change your visualization at all, you can click on settings and drag and drop these fields to whatever you find is the best configuration. And then you can just hide the code again if you'd like. So I use these charts to investigate what is the most popular genre of movie, which is drama, and then comedy and thriller, as well as the total number of movies created throughout time. So you can see a sort of exponential increase since the year 1990, as well as the most popular movies by tag, which has Star Wars, which is not a huge surprise, as well as the average movie rating, which you can see has been increasing over the past 10 years. I also looked at the correlation between the tag count and the average rating to see if there's any sort of, relationship. It looks like there isn't a huge relationship. I know that some movies are really highly talked about, but probably not having the best reviews. I also created some dynamic charts. These charts, user can actually change the amount of genres that they look at, as well as changing the start year and end year of the line chart. So looking further, if you wanted to include children, you would just click on children, and then it's going to rerun the query. And there you have it. Children is in dark blue, seems to not have really increased too much over the past 10 years. Great. And so I also looked at the top movies by average rating, finding that the most highly rated movie was The Shawshank Redemption. And then I also was able to create a Matplotlib visualization where I looked at the spread of the average rating depending on the genre of the film. One really cool thing about Zeppelin is that you can also integrate your local Zeppelin notebook in an online sharing external repository. So you can do this with zeppel.com. So to do this, you just go to Zeppel. You need to create your own username. And then you're just going to click New Space and call your space name whatever you want. Click on External Repository. And then in this drop down here, click Zeppelin and apply. Now it says disconnected. That's because you still need to connect it on your local Zeppelin notebook. So you're going to copy and paste this area of text. And then you're going to pass these commands here. So you're going to go into your VM or wherever you have Zeppelin located. And you're just going to go to the configuration file. So cd conf. And then you're going to copy the template of the Zeppelin environment shell and make it a new shell. And then you're going to write that copied text into the bottom of that shell. And then you're going to restart Zeppelin, and now it's going to say connected right at that top, and then it's going to show all of your Zeppelin notebooks. And you can just click on it from any computer. It doesn't have to be your own. It's published online in public. And there you are. There's your Zeppelin notebook, and you can also see your visualizations. You can interact with them just like you can in Zeppelin. And this is a great way to share your work and also to see it as, more of a report setting. Overall, I learned a lot about not only the film industry, but also about Zeppelin. Things from film I learned were that drama is the most popular genre. I thought it would be comedy, honestly. And I also learned how much the film industry has grown over the past 25 years. However, it's been mostly from a couple of the top genres. For example, Western films have remained relatively stagnant. And for Zeppelin, I found that it's a super powerful tool. There are some things, though, to keep in mind. You need to always back up your Zeppelin files. One of my notebooks was lost, and I had to start from scratch. You also have to be patient with your installation, and you have to, realize that it takes time because it can take a couple days to configure your Zeppelin correctly. But once it worked perfectly, it was beautiful and seamless and really quick to analyze big data. So this leads me to my pros. There are really great built-in interactive visualization tools as well as dynamic user input tools. It's free, open source, easy to change to a report mode, and has lots of potential, I think. There are still some cons. It's a new tool, so there are still some bugs. It was really difficult to install. It took a lot of time. It's complex, and it's different to export the notebook in a file format. For some next steps, I would love to integrate Helium, which is a library of pluggable visualizations that you can add to your Zeppelin, as well as promoting some collaboration with some real-time notebooks between me and my peers. I think it would be really exciting to be able to work on some projects with Zeppelin. Thank you.